There we all are.
Hello.
There we all are.
Hi.
Hey.
We suddenly just appeared.
Donnie's like click, 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 and then everybody shows up. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday night with all of us at the Paranormal Show and Tell. We do have a special guest with us tonight. And Robbin, we're going to talk in just a minute, but I just wanted to say some of those pictures in our intro are from Ashmore Estates.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah, the one that has all the little bubbles in it going up that tree, that was that tree you had in the front. And that's something that I had caught outside. And Paul had a couple photos from there when he was there. And we kind of incorporate our own photos in the whole beginning of the show. Those are all ours. And I just thought it was kind of cute that you were here and got to see some of those. Oh my goodness, sounds like the cats are fighting. Anyway, I don't need any more animals scaring me tonight. I just don't. All right. Yeah, no more sneak attacks on me tonight. Oh my goodness, and I'm just trying to stay warm. That's all I'm trying to do this week. I didn't have to work today, but I tell you what, keeping up with the fire and everything else to keep this house warm has been a chore. And I got to go through it all night long, too. And I'm like, oh, my goodness. I got to check it every 4 hours. I'm like, oh, my goodness. So I just set my alarm and keep going.
It's like smoking a brisket.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yep. Make a long night of it.
Right. A long couple nights of it. But let's just talk about our conference for just a second. Tex, why don't you take over here? Talk about it. Short and sweet.
We wanted to really make it short and sweet. Just pay the freaking promo and get it over with.
All right, go ahead. Play it. Just play the promo and we'll get it over with.
Oh, the new promo? Should I go ahead? All right.
Yeah,
here we go.
Go ahead. Loud. Be careful.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks, with an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
All right, there it is. All done.
In the words of Forrest Gump, that's about all I got to say about that.
That's all we got to say about that. Yeah, that's exactly it. Just remember, if you're looking for your tickets, you can get them on Eventbrite under the Crossing Realms Conference. Or, we do have it under the Blondes and Boos if you can't find it there. But Eventbrite is where it's at. All right. Let's jump into this because this is going to take a while. And I know Tex is chomping at the bit on this one. This is right up his alley. And I know as soon as Robbin starts talking, there's going to be questions. Lots of questions. But anyway, Robbin, start off with, I know that you and Ashley are now kind of like co-owning the Ashmore Estates. Is that right? What I'm getting right there?
Yeah. Ashley and I worked out an agreement that she's going to purchase over the next 10 years. That basically I still own it and she's buying it from me. It's a kind of a contract for deed, basically, is what it is, where you really can't go to a bank and say, hey, I'd like to buy this haunted location. Could you guys loan me the money for it? And, they're going to say, yeah, right. Go check it out on the street. And so it just doesn't work that way. And since she didn't have the cash to pay for it up front, then they had to do it differently. So, and it was, I could find somebody probably just to do that. I come up with cash and buy it, but I see a lot of people that are buying properties and basically doing nothing with them other than just trying to cash cow them. And I told a guy in an interview in 2016 or maybe it was 2015, when he was writing the book about Ashmore for us, the original book that we had done. I said at one point in time, because he asked me, he's like, "You're gonna have to sell it. At some point in time, you're gonna have to sell the place." And he said, "So if you thought about it at all?" I'm like, "Well, I've kind of, it's kind of come across my mind every once in a while." And he said, "So some fat cat from Chicago came down and offered you, $500,000 for it. Would you sell it?" I'd have a problem selling it to them just because I think they'd want to do something the wrong way. And I said, at some point in time, somebody's going to come along, and I'm going to know that's the person to sell to. And when I talked to Ashley and I've known each other for about 10 or 12 years. And she talked to me about probably 5 years ago. She was out there when I bought it originally, helped clean the building out, helped take 200 plus gallons of paint out, stuff like that. Her and Michelle Murray did. But I talked to her about 3 or 4 years ago, and she said, "Hey, if you ever decide to build a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house out there, I'll move out there." And I said, "All right, I'll keep that in mind." So I think I called her like 2 years ago and said, "Hey, 3-2, right?" And she's like, "What?" I said, "You told me a 3-2 and you'd move out there." And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "I'm doing it." I said, "So either you're moving out there or somebody's moving out there." I said, "Because I'm going to do it." And she's like, "Well, could you give me a week?" Because she just bought a house like a year before that. And she lives a couple hours away. So she called me back. She's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Let's do it." I'm like, "Okay." So we built this house. It's about 2,500 square feet. It ended up being 4 bedrooms and 2 baths on her side. And then I built like a mother-in-law suite on the one side. So like if I'm out there or something like that's out there, staying to help out the building, if maybe she's out of town and somebody like Terry Mosby is out there, helping us do that like she has the last couple of years, she can stay in the mother-in-law suite there, and she's got separate bedrooms, kitchenette area, and a bathroom, the whole shop, separate entrance and everything. So it worked out pretty well, and that's what we did. But she's gonna do great. We talk daily on things out there, and she's getting the hang of stuff pretty well. And she's kind of running the show right now. She'll call me and say, "What do you think I should do?" I'm like, "No, what do you think you should do?" And then I'll tell you whether I agree with you or not. And so it's kind of a training process, training curve. And I told her, I said, nobody's gonna pull anything off on her. She said there's a few times she said she's reached aside and picked up her inner Robbin, and she's like, "Yeah, it's probably pissed people off." I'm like, "Sometimes you got to do it." And I said that was my whole thing too. It's like you got to do it, because you get the good friends that call and say, "Don't you have the friend discount?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's the same discount I get from the water company, the electrical company, the insurance company, and everybody else." I said, "It cost me the same to put you in there." I said, "So basically, I'm thinking you want me to give you money out of my pocket to do it." So, and we try to keep the rates as low as possible, and we keep adding to it out there rather than just letting it sit. And so it's not a matter of just watching their money build up in a bank account. It just keeps going. And I told her, I said, especially for this first 10 years, it's going to be tight. I said, so you'll need every dime you get for the first 10 years anyway. I said, if you want to make some deals and stuff like that after that, go for it. I said, but until that point in time, you really can't. And I said, I wouldn't even encourage it after that, because you'll just build up nothing but trouble. Because there's enough drama as it is. And, it's like, well, they let me in for this amount, they let me in for this amount. And so it's like, yeah, just keep everything nice and clean and easy, and you won't have a problem.
Right. Well, I mean, that Ashmore Estates has a wonderful reputation. I mean, whoever's the who's who in the paranormal community, the Discovery Channel, Travel Channel, all of them have been to your location. I mean, all of them. And, it just amazes me because I have to find every episode. Like, I've been there. I'm going to go, I got to watch their episode of it and see what they experience versus what I've experienced out there, which has been some really crazy stuff, So I do recommend that to everyone, even your beginners. That is a wonderful place. And, I just can't say enough about it. I've been there. I can't even tell you how many times, but it's been a lot. And I've enjoyed every single time. Even my daughter, who is 14 years old, her first time in there, I think she was 9. I think she was 9 in her first go around with Ashmore Estates. And she absolutely loved it, had no problems with the building. And so I do recommend it. So if you and your team want to go ghost hunting, try Ashmore Estates in Ashmore, Illinois. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Anyway. Okay. So let's let's move on to talking about where you live and what I'm not going to say what possessed you. That's kind of a bad question.
Yeah.
What moved you?
What inspired you to move into this location?
Well, I live in Auburn, Illinois, which is a town of about 4,500 people. And we moved here in, I'll screw up dates big time, but probably 20 years ago. So looking at Norma, she's like, I don't know. It's like, but yeah, it's like I got the earbuds in, so I can't hear it anyway. And but yeah, so we moved into Auburn into a house that we bought, and then we got married out here. And I guess it's been longer than that since we got married like 35 years ago, so it's been a while back. But I was looking for someplace else. I had an insurance office in the strip mall that's right outside of town, just on the just at the east end of town. And they decided to raise the rents out there. And I told the guy that owned the place, I'm like, yeah, I said, raising the rents out here because there's nobody next to me. There's nobody filling the other spots, and you're gonna raise my rent, and you can't even put anybody in anyway. It's not like people are begging to get in these locations. So I'm gonna start looking around, and so I started looking around, and I found an old movie theater downtown that it was built in 1946 and finished in 47, and it's been sitting empty for 5 years. And so I called the bank up, and and I know that I called the bank, and they're probably like, I said, hey, I want to talk to you guys about buying the movie theater. And I probably woke the girl up because she's like somebody's calling about the movie theater? Quick, get down there. And so they came down here, and they we had to cut down a 2-inch tree in front of the front door so I could get in the building. And because it was coming up between the sidewalk and the building, I couldn't get in the door. So we had to cut this tree down so we could just get in the building. And there was no power, no electricity, no windows. I mean, it was basically just a big empty building. And we came inside, and the bad thing about it is that it sat empty for 5 years, and the roof was shot, and it was like there's no power in the building, so there's no lighting. You couldn't even really see anything other than flashlights. And so we were wandering through and everything, and I had a friend of mine with me, and I said, and I think anytime you're looking at the location or something like that, it's always nice to take another set of eyes with you, because I've done a lot of building stuff myself, but I wanted somebody to look at, because sometimes you're like, wow, this is cool, I love this, and you're not paying attention to what's going on over the corner someplace that's falling apart. And so I took a friend of mine who's been in the construction business also, and he went with me, and we came out, and I said, what'd you think? He's like, couldn't see everything real well. He said, but structurally, other than we know the roof's bad, it didn't look too bad. And I said, let me get some lights in there. We'll figure it out. So I called the realtor back up. I said, I need about 2 hours of your time, because I'm going to set up some lighting in there so I can see and everything. So I took a generator down there. I think I got a 7,000-watt generator down there, and it flipped on lights. She's like, I've never seen it this bright in here before. So we were looking at everything, and so we decided, it's like, heck, what the heck? It's like, it'll make a great office up front and the back. I mean, because I collect cars also, and so like, this would be kind of cool to have this whole back end for cars. And so like, yeah, let's do it. So we bought the building, and it was in such bad shape. I told Norma, I said, well, I should back up, because the bank and I made him an offer. I said, make us an offer. You can't install us. Like, okay, we'll just see about that. So I think I kind of installed them, and but not to the point that they didn't call me back. So the bank president called me up from the local bank, and he said, hey, tell you what, I can't sell it to you for that, but I'll sell it to you for this. You come in today, pick up the keys, sign papers, it's done. He said, I'll make the real low interest loan. We just want to get it off the book. We had it 3.5 years, and I think there's some law that they have to have off their books by 5 years, with the banking commission. So he said, yeah, and there was nobody standing behind me in line. So it wasn't like there was lots of people wanting to buy this building. So I got the phone with him. I told Norma, and I said, I think I just bought a building. So we went down, and I told her, I said, you can't come into it though, because it's in bad shape. I said, so you just stay outside. I'll let you know when you can come in. And so about the first week or 2 weeks, she didn't know what I bought. She had no idea what I bought. She could see the outside, but that's it. She's never been on the inside. And so I filled up a 10-yard dumpster in the first 4 hours, just so I could get in the front door and move around. And we started doing it. And finally she came in. She's like, well, that's not so bad then, really, because we cleaned out most of the stuff. But it did need a roof, and we needed air conditioning, and I needed new plumbing. But since I could do all that, it didn't bother me. I had a friend of mine help me do it all, and we got in there and did it all, got it all finished off and everything, and decided at that point we were just our offices in there. And I think that was in '99. So we built November of '99 is when I closed on it, and we finished it off, and we had our offices set up and ready to go by February of 2000. We had moved into the office in the building, and our office is there. So, and then I kind of jokingly said to her a couple years later, I was like, we're down there so much, we ought to just build a house inside there. And she's like, there's no windows. Like, yeah, you just cut those out. It's not a big deal. And 7,000 pounds of block later that we had to take out of the building, block by block, because there's a neighbor's house right next door that we had to take it out from the inside and then take it down the stairs to get it out of there. And it was 7,000 pounds is what they of riprap, what they took out and piled up. And but yes, we built a 2-story house. Inside is like 4,000 square foot, 2,000 each floor, and we really don't even use the first floor. We use the second floor basically is what we use. But we did that, and then there's still the basement in the building and our office and everything, and it's worked out. It's been kind of cool. It was fun building it. Kind of stunned. She's over there going like, "What do you mean fun?" And she keeps going with the animation over there. I'm gonna flip the camera around. She won't even know it. So, but yeah, it was. Oh, she will know it. She's watching it. So
she's watching. Ha.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was fun building it. Her niece helped. My son helped, and we got it all done. It was a 2-year project because we were building it. Basically, we bought the material each month that I could afford to spend money on, and then we put it in. And it took us about that much time to do each month. So we got it all up and done, and we had actually during the time before that we were running a haunted house in our basement, and they were doing just a charity haunted house in our basement. And I had a friend of mine who came over, and Galen said, he said, the place is haunted, right? And I'm like, yeah, right. He's like, no, really, it's haunted. I'm like, okay, Galen, right. And this is really before I got into the paranormal side of things. And I said, okay. But we'd always heard stuff, and we'd seen motion lights going off and on. We're working in the building. There's motion lights going off and on. I'm like, somebody's up front. So I go up front, like, there's nobody here. Motion lights are kicking off and on. And then we hear voices in there. And I mean, I'd heard voices, and Norman heard voices, and we all heard these different voices in the building. And my son, when we finally got it done, my son was sitting there sleeping by himself one night, and he said he was in one room sleeping, and he said something came over the top of the bed, and he said it looked like the worm from Tremors. And he's like, I don't know what it was, but he said it looked like the worm from Tremors that came over the top of the bed. And he was like freaking out over that. And so I found a T-shirt later. We were joking about it because it was on Whoop.com, and they used to have these T-shirts on there, and it had a little girl. We used to see a little girl in the bed in the basement. We always had a younger girl dressed up down there, and they caught an EVP, a group that came and investigated one time. It was like, what a good dog. It had this picture of this dog and this little girl, this dog coming out and biting at this wolf head, like he was protecting the girl. And it's like, this is kind of weird because it fits our building perfectly. Makes no sense, but it does to me. And so I said to Andy, I said, can you do this again? Because he's a graphic designer. He's like, where the hell did you get that? I'm like, why? He's like, that's what I saw. I'm like, no way. He's like, yeah, that's what I saw. And the room where he saw that at, I had 2 different psychics tell me that they've seen an alien in 5 feet with where he was at. And I mean, it's 4,000 square foot inside the building in the house. There's like 15,000 total. But he said within 5 feet of where he was at, 2 different psychics at different times, different years, had seen that same situation, an alien inside there. So he was kind of freaked out over it. But that was all kind of weird, with the whole thing. And but the house went along, and we ended up, getting the house built and everything. And then it was just 2016, I think it was. We were maybe it was 2014. We'd gone down to a friend's graduation in Waco, Texas, and we always had what we call newbie nights. And we had people came in and they'd investigate, and especially people that never investigated before. And I have a lot of paranormal equipment, but I got a set of headphones. I got 10 sets of headphones that, actually there's 12 sets of headphones that we sit around a table. Everyone has individual headphones, separate volume controls, amplified volume controls, so we can all listen to the same recording at the same time. And so I'm just teaching them how to listen for EVPs. And so while we're doing that, I have 3 friends of mine that are psychics that decided to wander through the building, and Norma's like, I'll go with you. And, she's like, what can go wrong? The 3 psychics, they go through the building, see what's going on. 2 have been here before, 1 had never been here before. And so they started doing that little trip, and we're doing our thing in the back. And that's when all hell broke loose with stuff, basically. It kind of got crazy, and, it usually takes me like 45 minutes to go through the EVP session things they were doing. And so we got done, and like, where are they at? Why aren't they out yet? What's going on? And so I come back inside the house, and I walk in the theater room, and they're all sitting in the theater room. And Norma's like, we'll be out in a minute. Like, okay, I said, because we need to go. She's like, we'll be out in a minute. I'm like, all right. And so she kind of had an attitude, but she normally doesn't have that. And so we came out, and I said, what's going on? She said, I'll tell you later. I'm like, I said, no. She said, I'll tell you later. Okay. And it's like, I can tell that something wasn't right. And so we're going through the building. And at that point in time, I'm like, let's get this going. I got to find out what the hell's going on. And, but, I'm still just I'm not telling everybody, oh, you got to go see you, bye. Not doing that to them. But yeah, so we went through and did everything I was doing. And then it's like, okay, what's happening? And she was telling me that Damon, when they all started in the building, Damon started picking up on stuff. And when he walked in the area, actually, he was in the area right where the aliens been seen before. And he said he started seeing, hearing the name John Wayne, or the name the Duke. And he said, we thought we were talking about John Wayne, the actor. And he said, then he started hearing the song It Ain't Me by Creedence Clearwater. That wasn't the name of the song, but that's what everybody knows it. And so he said he was hearing that. And then he said, he asked Norma what was going on down below this. And she said, well, because I keep seeing digging. It's like, well, the basement's down below this. There's a crawl space for the house and in the basement. He's like, I'm seeing a lot of digging, a lot of clowns, and then the Duke. And they're like, okay. And so they came upstairs, and they're wandering upstairs, and he came up and he told her that he just kind of wandered around. And Damon I've known for a long time. I walked in one day, the first day I met him, he told me what I spent thousands of dollars to find out. I walked into him, and the first day I ever met the guy, he's like, you have a right bundle branch block. I'm like, what? He's like, you have a right bundle branch block on your heart. I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right. He said, yeah. I said, just saw that, and I'd let you know. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You don't get off that easy. And he told me like a psychic medium. But yeah, he just picked up on it, told me right off the bat. That's what it is. I'm like, okay, well, that's what doctors have been trying to tell me, for years that I've been going to him. So 5 minutes, he knows what I got going on. And that's not something we've said before that I've got heart problems, stuff like that, but you don't specifically spell it out because nobody cares. So as much as they want to tell you they do, they really don't. So Damon's up here wandering around the building, and he picked up on one armoire. I think he even mentioned that he's like, this belonged to Norma's grandmother. And she's like, yeah. So he's like, and he picked up on the other one, and he's like, yeah, this one here's got some bad feelings to it. He's like, this was not right. He's like, there's something tied to this. And I've kind of taught her, don't tell psychics anything. Like, let them tell you everything. Don't feed in. Don't give them anything. I mean, not that I don't trust them or anything, but I want them to show me that they're really they know what's going on before I really kind of give them additional information. So that's what we were doing, and that's what she was doing. So he picked up on the armoire, and she said, okay, and kind of let it go with that. And then they decided to go to the basement. And they get downstairs in the basement, and he says, I've seen a lot of digging. He's like, no. He's like, also seen a lot of clowns. He said, now I know you guys have a haunted house here. He said, so my subconscious is probably telling me that you have clowns. He's trying to debunk himself, is what he's trying to do. And say, I know it's a haunted house. You're going to have clowns in a haunted house. So I'm thinking that I'm just kind of freaking myself out, thinking you're going to have clowns, so that's what's here. So I already know that's going to be here because that's what you do. And so he said, you also have like a jail cell down here. And he said, there's like a jail cell set up down here. And he said, but I can see that as well. And so when we got down there, well, we did have a jail cell set up because I had a 10,000 watt Jacobs ladder, which is basically like a ladder that has electrical shock running up like cones, and it disappears and starts back up again. And so that's what I had, that to basically keep away from people from touching it and maybe zapping themselves, because people are looking at it like, it's a haunted house, let's touch this and see what it feels like. And but yeah, so it's like not playing that game. So he's like, okay, well, those is a jail cell, and he's like, I'm still seeing a lot of digging going on, and he couldn't figure it out. And he walks around the corner, he sees all the clowns. He's like, all right, there's the clowns. He said, that's the clowns. I know it's clowns. So then they get down, they walk upstairs, and they're like, okay, they're all three sitting on the stage like, all right, what the hell did we just do? What did we just go through and everything? And so they're trying to figure it all, put it all together with the Duke and all the dig and everything. And Patty, one of the other psychics, tells Norma, she's like, Norma, I don't want to alarm you, but John Wayne Gacy is standing right behind you. And she's like, okay. He's like, he's not going to hurt you, but he's here to talk to us. But he's here right behind you. And they're like, okay, why is Gacy in this house, in this theater in Auburn, Illinois? And it was kind of weird, but they're like, they're trying to put it all together and everything. And then Norma's like, well, I don't know if it makes any difference, but when I was in college, my roommate's brother was killed by John Wayne Gacy. And
wow.
Yeah, so her roommate's brother was killed by Gacy. There was two other guys that did the walkthrough with him, and they said, well, when he went to prison, we handled all the paperwork. He came across my desk. I touched everything when he went to prison. All the paperwork came through on my desk. And they're like, okay. And it's like, well, so that's all kind of weird. It's like, well, and Nora's like, well, that armoire upstairs that you didn't like, Robbin bought that from the attorney that represented John Wayne Gacy. And so it's still sitting right over here in the corner right now. And but when I bought that armoire, and I collect the antique stuff also. I think my wife's the youngest thing I got in the building, and but yeah, we bought this, and we bought the armoire. I brought it home, I refinished it, took it all apart, cleaned it out inside, outside, and refinished it and brought it up here. When I carried it up here on the second floor, it locked, and it won't unlock. And I've taken it, turned it upside down, thinking that it's like a little brass deadbolt. Because it's probably, I'm going to guess it's close to 100 years old. And it's probably a little brass deadbolt. I thought, okay, the brass deadbolt just slid in there, got stuck. So I'm taking a rubber mallet, trying to tap it out, taking a little screwdriver in there, trying to pry it down. I can't get it to unlock. It's old skeleton keys. And I had a friend of mine who said that, I could get it open for you. I'm like, I don't know if I want to open it to this point. So we've, it's locked right now. I mean, there's the bottom is locked, it opens, but the rest was locked. So it was, it's up here, it's locked, and never been unlocked. And since those guys were here, I had another psychic came up here. It was during Unity Day a few years ago. You might have even been here that day. Were you here when Tony was here? Were you here when Tony was up here?
Yes.
And you were here. And but yeah, so Tony came up, and you knew what I'm talking about. He doesn't like his name out there a lot, so I'm not going to throw his whole last name out. But he came up, and he said, hey, I went to use the bathroom. And I looked up the stairs, and I saw somebody up there. Like, so what? You're a psychic. You see people all the time. And he's like, yeah, but I don't know how to explain this one to you. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. He's like, this was different. And I'm like, what do you mean it's different? And I know where he's going. And he's like, well, it was a serial killer. I'm like, really? I'm like, which serial killer was it? He's like, it was John Wayne Gacy. I'm like, oh, he's back. He said, what the hell do you mean he's back? I said, we've had encounters with him over the last couple of years here. So he said, don't tell me anything else. Let me go upstairs. So he comes upstairs, and he's telling all about everything up here, of it, going through everything with the armoire and everything. And I should probably stop and say before I tell you the other part is Brad Kling. We were down at Norman and I went down to Texas in 2014 and had dinner with Brad and his wife. And Brad said, so what's new exciting up in Auburn? I'm like, well, we had this little encounter with John Wayne Gacy recently. And so he's like, what? And so I was telling him about it. Well, that was about the same time he was coming out with Strange Curiosity. And it was basically only 6 episodes, but it's about how can this stuff happen? and why does it happen? Because it doesn't make any sense why it should happen. And he's like, we need to come up and shoot an episode there. And he's like, yeah, we need to do that. He's like, that'd be so cool. We'll come up there and do it. So they drove up later that year and shot an episode and aired it out there in straight curiosity, killer coincidence. So I asked Tony, I said, did you ever see this episode that Brad shot? And he's like, no. And I always take everything when somebody tells me they've never seen anything with a grain of salt. But he'd tell me one thing that wasn't in the episode. And he said, well, he kept paintings in here. He did paintings for her in prison, and she kept it and never kept in this armoire. Okay, we didn't know that at the time that Brad aired the episode. I found about it afterwards, but I didn't know about it when the episode aired. So there's no way he would have known that. And I said, yeah, they were in there. He's like, no, he said they're still there. So Tony and I sat up here and argued back and forth, like, they're not in there. He's like, no, he says they're in there. I'm like, I've had it apart. They're not in there. Trust me. He's like, they may be hidden. I was like, no, I've had the paintings in my hands. I was like, I know what paintings you're talking about. They're not in there. They were in a drawer in the house that she was selling in Petersburg, Illinois. I said, they're not there. So, but then he also told me another thing. He said, what's behind this wall? And I said, oh, there's bedrooms back there. He's like, okay, because he likes to go back here. He said he goes back there. He tells me he likes to go back there and watch people. I'm like, okay, well, he's watching us when we used to do the Unity Day and things like that out there. And he'd go out there because I had numerous people tell me, and my garage, it's a pretty good sized garage. You know, yes. Brandy's been there before. It's about 55 by 55 garage, and I've got a walkway up above it where I've got some storage containers. And I've had people tell me before they've seen people walking back and forth in that walkway up there. And in fact, actually, Terry Mosby's husband, Pogo, saw it one night when they were out here we had a band playing one night. And on the way home, he told Terry, he's like, I don't want to tell you this back there because people think I was nuts. He said, but I saw somebody walking back and forth on that walkway. And Terry's like, hell, everybody out there would have thought you weren't nuts. They all lived for that stuff, and you're telling me on the way home? So, yeah, because there's probably 50-60% people there from the paranormal. You know, there's probably about 100 people in there. And, but yeah, it was crazy with that. But so we've had the encounters with that. I had another psychic medium came up here one time and asked her to look around, and she picked up on body parts around the armoire, but she couldn't pick up on a name. And I said, so she asked me, she's like, all right, so I'm not getting a name at all. She's like, this is all I'm getting. She's like, so who do you think it is? I said, John Wayne Gacy. She's like, oh my God. She points to her husband's like, he was at the execution. And so we've had more and more stuff that keeps tying us to Gacy with this armoire. He lived in Springfield, Illinois for a while, which is 20 minutes away from me. He could have been to the theater because we're a small hometown theater, and he kind of liked that lifestyle somewhat. He liked the big lifestyle with the big politicians and stuff. But I think he also liked the smaller ones where he could slide in and slide through things, especially as Pogo. And so he might have been down here in the past. But when he lived in Springfield, I always thought this was kind of weird. Springfield is a 100,000 plus town, and there's thousands of streets in Springfield. And he lived on a street in Springfield called Normandy Road. Well, my wife's name's Norma. Her dad's name's Norman. So all the streets in Springfield he could have lived on, other than the one that had basically the same name as theirs, which was weird in itself. And it's just a small bungalow home. Yeah, just kind of different. But yeah, I'm trying to think of if I left anything out and with that. But it's kind of like the short end of the story. But that's pretty much what happened. We've had some stuff going on since then, you know. But
well, I've seen it. You know, I've seen it, but I knew what it was when I saw it. So I'm kind of like, I'm not touching that. Thanks, but no. I'm going to keep my hands to myself. I don't want to touch it.
I'm going to turn the camera up a second. Let me see if I can, without making it.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
See it against the wall there?
Yep, that's the armoire right next to the TV. Oh, good. It zooms up, man. I didn't try to do that. But yep, that's the armoire that we got from the attorney. And that's why it's open. Or that's why it's closed, because they won't unlock. I can't, we got another one over here. I won't go too far because Norma's sitting over there. She was real fit. She can see on the screen if she's on or not. But yeah, we got that one there, and that was open. But we can't. This one we can't get open. So it just stays shut.
So when you put that back together, you know that there was nothing in it.
Excuse me. Yep. No, there's nothing in it. I mean, it's a single wall panels. Yeah, I do I finished a lot of furniture. It's just single wall plywood. I carried it up the stairs by myself. It's not that heavy, and but it was. I did it with the door, the hinges, the piano hinge on one side. So I did it so that the door hinge was down, so it wouldn't flop open, and that's why I thought maybe it just kind of locked itself when I got up. Because I'm being, it's like, yeah, it just locked itself when I got up, and that's it. And but yeah, it's still locked. I go over every once in a while, I'll turn it, see, and somebody asked me before, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna unlock it. I think it's kind of like Pandora's box. If you really want to open up and find out anything really goes wrong, and at this point, nothing's happening, so it's like stay away.
Right. Yeah, I mean yeah, like I said, when I saw it, I knew what it was, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I'm just like my shirt says, nope, just not gonna do that. just not. It's just because first of all, I don't. I already know that things that sometimes you get from antique shops and things like that, you don't know what you're really bringing home.
Right.
And it's
Right.
kind of like I don't like to even handle a lot of antiques if I don't know exactly where they came from. So I just kind of look at them and go, oh, isn't that pretty? And just gotta leave them alone. Thank you.
Of course, I would, and I'm gonna get there one of these days. I'm gonna come up there. It's gonna be hard, very, very hard for me to not do some kind of interaction with that, because but that's so, man, having somebody a spirit like his, because he was so narcissistic. He never took any responsibility for anything he did.
To his dying breath.
And, do what?
Right.
To his dying breath, he didn't take responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But as much energy as he poured out of himself into his paintings, and if those paintings were in there, and not to mention, all the paperwork and everything that went through there. Yeah. That's a lot of bad mojo in there. That's possible.
Right. I mean, can you imagine though, if he did anything in front of the mirror or had anything, in front of that mirror, the energy that it sucked up.
He wouldn't have had anything to do with the armoire itself.
Right.
Because that was her house. He had nothing to do with that. Other than the paintings that she kept inside of it. Actually, in fact, you probably sat on it out at the Ashmore. I mean, and he had nothing to do with this, but there's a couch out there in the big bunkhouse. That's from the attorney's house. And there's a chair out there that's from the attorney's house too. And I bought that from her also. I did find some when the caretaker of the house was, and this had nothing to do with Gacy as far as I know of. And I'm sure it doesn't, but there's just that whole house out there that had some bad vibes going on it, because the house we got the armoire from, it was built during the Civil War time frame. And it was in Petersburg, Illinois. And she's telling me, the lady's like, we found this, and she brought out like 3 child's garments. She's like, we found these in the wall. We were remodeling things, and they were all buried in the wall. And she's like, so these were here. Well, when she brought those out, one of my friends was a psychic, was like, I got to go. I'm getting nauseous. And she left the room. Well, as soon as she brought those out, it's probably, and I played them at different events I've been at, it's probably the worst EVP I've ever heard. It was 2 children screaming, and it wasn't like scared screaming. This was tortured screaming, and I mean, it was like they're just eerie bad, and they're just horrible. And it was, you could tell it was a male. I think it was a male and female, because you can tell by the tones of their voices. They're younger male and female voices that are screaming that when she pulled the things out of the house. So when she got them out, she's like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. Like, Karen doesn't want them here anymore. She wants the stuff gone. I'm like, I could take them with me. So I now own these. They're downstairs in one of my rooms right now. With these 3 garments. And Damon, who I picked up on Gacy, he picked up on this stuff. I think it was even before the Gacy deal. And he picked up on that. He's down in my office one day. I'm like, "Here, take this. Tell me what you think." And so he's holding him, looking at it, and so he's picking up, and it's like, he just felt there's bad energy there, that somebody's being tortured, or like a drunken husband coming home and stuff like that. So yeah, it was kind of weird with him, with that too. So it's been kind of a trip talking with Karen and everything out there.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. I don't think I could have had anything in my house that would have been directly or indirectly tied to him. I mean, have you ever thought of getting rid of it and
I jokingly and hopefully say this in the same way, is that I'm too old. It's my wife's the wrong sex, so we're pretty good. So he liked young boys, and that's what he was really into, and we don't fit that mold. So we basically stopped doing investigations here, only because everyone wants to come in here and do the Gacy thing, and it's like for a while there we were doing repeatedly, and we weren't trying to make money out of it. Anything that came in, I gave to the Lost Souls Foundation. And when Mike decided to stop the charity, I'm like, that's a good time. We need to stop doing this, because my heart was going in AFib about 75% of the time that people come out here and do investigations. So I don't think he necessarily liked that. I don't know if he was the reason that my heart was going to AFib or not, but I was like, well, why take a chance? And so we stopped doing it. I did have Kindred Spirits ask me a few years back if they could come out here and do an episode with Adam and Amy, and I said, if you guys want to come out and do it, that's fine. I said, but you got to put me in a hotel room while you're out here. They're like, we're not going to pay for your hotel room while you're out there. Like, then you're not coming. And Brandi knows me well enough. Like, yeah, it's not going to happen. If you're not going to do it, it's like you're my way or the highway. Sorry, but it's my house and my life you're playing with. And if you can't pick up, I'm not going to charge you, which most locations always charge them. I'm like, I'm not charging you. So look at that. You're paying a fee to rent the location. But no, we won't do that. I'm like, all right, never mind. Don't worry about it.
I'll tell you what, if and when I ever get up there, if you will allow me and whoever wants to go with me at that time, the girls or whatever, I will put you up in a hotel. I will put you up in a hotel and buy you a steak dinner.
Yeah, I'll even throw in a bottle of wine.
I don't drink, damn it. You're going so well.
Yeah.
They may throw in a new pair of shorts for you to wear around in the wintertime. You just never know.
Yeah, I do. I will need to pick up some more winter shorts recently. My winter shorts are about shots. I need some new winter shorts. One thing that when I mentioned earlier too, that Damon said something about the song "It Ain't Me" by Creedence Clearwater. Right. I contacted Karen and asked Karen. I said, hey, and I sent her an email originally. I said, look, I bought this furniture for you. We've had some Gacy encounters. If you don't want to talk about it, I understand completely. It's been a long time ago, and you may want to write that out of your memory. And she's like, no, I'd love to talk to you about it. So just give me a call sometime. So I did. And she's an attorney up in Chicago. And I said, you picked up on this song. I was like, well, what do you think it means? I'm like, I don't know. That's what I was hoping you could tell me. He's like, he just picked it up on it. He's like, well, when he went before the judge, and he told the judge, he said, John Wayne Gacy didn't kill those kids. It ain't me. It's somebody else that killed those kids, but it ain't me. And that's pretty much exactly what he told the judge. So he thinks that something, maybe somebody else took over his body and killed those kids, but everybody knows he did it. I mean, I got a friend of mine who's huge into Gacy and serial killers. He's written 2 different books on it. He teaches a class on it, and he was actually in the episode that Brad did here. And he talks about Gacy and with all his little things that he does, his quirks and everything. And yeah, it's pretty interesting with some of the stuff he's done. So the episode's pretty cool. In fact, like I said, I was just mentioned to Brad. Brad had just sent me a text earlier tonight about something, and I'm trying to, because those episodes are out there. I think they're overseas right now, and they're not being released in the country here at all. So I'm trying to work something out with him so I can have those episodes. And he only did 6 of them, but it'd be kind of fun to have the 6 of them because they're all on different topics. 2 of them are close to me. One's on Ashmore, and then the other one he did here. And I'm not in the one on Ashmore, which didn't bother me at all. But yeah, so the other one, I'm in that quite a bit, talking about that whole thing. So, but yeah, it was a fun experience, and we're still encountering it at times.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been on a lot of episodes of different shows that have been on TV. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and I don't know. You still tell those stories, and they creep me out every time you talk about it because it's like, yeah, I know what he's talking about, or something similar has happened to me, at that location. Yes, I understand those. That's why it's really neat to watch you on these shows because I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, and I think people pick up the stuff. I had a girl contacting me 5, 6 years ago. Her husband was a cop in here in Auburn, and she's like, "Hey, Rob," she's like, "I got a question for you." She's like, my dog won't go in our dining room anymore." I'm like, "Okay," and she's like, "And my daughter doesn't like it. The dog will walk all the way around the house to bypass the dining room." I said, "Have you brought anything else in the dining room lately?" And she said, "No." I said, "You haven't brought any antiques or anything like that? Anything in there? Any deceased loved ones or anything?" She's like, "No." So we start talking more and all. And she's like, "Well, there's one piece of furniture that I guess Jim did that he was refinishing. He brought in. He's like, but it's like my grandfather's, a grandfather's chest or something like that he had." And it's like, I said, "When did this stuff all start?" And she paused. It's like, "After he brought that in." And I said, "Why don't you just put that back out in the garage and let me know how it goes?" And so she called me back about 2 weeks later. She's like, "The dog's through the living room, walks right straight through now. No problem whatsoever. Daughter doesn't have a problem with it." And it's like, "Everything's fine now." It's like, so she said, "You really think that was it?" I'm like, "What do you think? You're the one that brought it in. You're the one that called me. I'm the one that told you to take it out. And now you're telling me everything's good." And she's like, "I guess it." I said, "You can bring it back in." She's like, "No, we'll just leave it in the garage." It's like, everything's fine now. We'll just leave it out there. And I said, the problem I think sometimes is people don't recognize that, and you can train your children, teach them that this is probably grandpa that you're encountering in this. The dog doesn't know that. You probably can't teach the dog that, but you can teach the kids that, and so they'll understand it a little bit more. But yeah, I think that's what happens a lot of times. It's just they pick up on a piece of furniture that has somebody attached to it, and they're not ready for that.
Uh-oh.
Right.
We got a special guest.
Hey.
How are you, Robbin?
Not too bad. How you doing, Krista?
Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
I told her to hop on. She says she's investigated the art theater, and she was going to hop on here and tell us her experience while she was there.
It was after one of your February events when you were doing it for Mike. It was with Tony Pickman. Do you remember that year Tony was there?
Oh yeah, real well. We talked about earlier.
Yep,
yeah, we talked about that one.
That's when it was. I was with him, and if I remember correctly, he had a really weird, bad reaction, and I took him out of the place.
So, yep.
What kind of reaction did he have exactly?
Tony's very, very sensitive, as Brandi and I'm sure Robbin can attest. And he just. I'd rather not say live. I can't really talk about that, about him. So.
Well, I mean, because Terry, Robbin Terry was telling us about Tony. I'm getting TTTs here. About Tony insisting on there's paintings within the armoire. Yeah. And Robbin said, "No, I have taken it apart and put it back together. There's nothing in there," but he was insisting. So he could automatically probably feel that energy.
Yeah. Well, Tony actually came to Ashmore. I don't know if you remember this, Robbin, but I was with him when it was around the nurses' station. and there was something came to him. He found a ladder. How he found the ladder, I'll never know. But he found a piece of jewelry. Do you remember that? And it was when we were with PTF, and I'm pretty sure Greg gave that to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So just like to let everybody know, that's how good this guy is. That Tony is. He found jewelry in the wall, literally.
Oh wow!
Not looking for it, just came to him, told him where to go, and there it was. So.
Well, that's very interesting.
Pretty crazy.
And Tony and Damon are a lot similar. You know, it's kind of because you guys know Tony and you know Damon, but you know, I mean, Damon's on that same level. The stuff he'll tell you is like, I can't believe you're telling me this stuff. And the first time I met Tony, he told me, you know, we were having dinner. I was having dinner with Greg and Sandy and Tony and his wife, and we were all sitting there. And Tony's like, he's like, you play baseball in school? I'm like, yeah. And he said, your dad said you're pretty good, but he didn't like your long hair. I'm like, okay. And he said, your mom played in a country western band. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, and also in the church band. I'm like, yeah. He's like, and the church she went to was Southern View. And I said Southern View Baptist. He's like, yeah. And so I mean, just like he'd rattle stuff off. So it's kind of, it's kind of cool listening to stuff from Tony or from Damon because they pick up on stuff so easy.
Yeah.
When Damon was up here this weekend, 2 weekends ago, when we did the paranormal potluck. He picked up on Gacy up here that day. And he said that, he picked up on some stuff with Gacy in the building that day. And he said, in fact, on the way over, he said that he picked up on, there's a news story came across the radio that they were listening to, or a podcast or something about a clown named Pogo in Springfield, Ohio in the 50s that caused a lot of problems. And so, and Damon's like, I'm going to have to research this. He said, because it's too coincidental. Springfield, Ohio, Springfield, Illinois, Pogo, and this guy's causing problems and everything. And with name Pogo, and all. So it's like, and I haven't talked to him since, but yeah, it sounded like he had some other encounters. And then he had some encounters while he's here, with things as well. So I think that might have been, he was back here one other time, I think, when we did something with Brad and Richard. I think he was back here then.
Okay.
But that was the only time he's been back for quite a while.
Yeah.
In the building.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty incredible building that you live in. I can definitely say that. I can attest to that.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's a lot different. Let's face it, Robbin. I don't know if Brandi told people, and I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the show, but like in the back area you have like all Scooby-Doo memorabilia, all kinds of things in there. It's really
we did have. It's all gone now.
It's all gone now. Wow.
Yep.
Oh no.
Sold it at auction. After I sold the van, I decided to sell everything else.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
So we got a question. I know we talk, and a lot of times we talk about all the bad energy, bad juju, and all this kind of stuff. People picking up on it. Do we ever have the exact opposite happen? Like blessed objects get picked up on, or good things. I would imagine we probably do. I think a lot of people look to the bad side so much that they don't see the good side. Or when something happens, they think, a quick example, I was at Ashmore in 2015 or 2014, put electrical then up there. And something in the middle of the afternoon was like, just kept trying to push me out of the building. And everybody's like, oh, it's probably some demon trying to get a hold of you. I'm like, trying to take over your body. And I'm like, or it could have been the spirits of the building were trying to tell me to leave because something was going wrong, or I was hooking electrical wrong, they thought, and they wanted to protect me. And like, so you can look at it either way. And I think that's what a lot of times people will do, is to look at the demonic way, because that's the cool way in today's society, versus like, well, they're just trying to help you out. They need to get out of there.
So Lil Patty's got a question for Brandi or Krista or anyone. A question: can ghosts or spirits start fires? Do you know?
I believe they can. I
believe they can.
I think they can do anything. I mean, they can manifest. They can, do physical harm. Why can't they start fires?
I totally think they can.
I would think that if they do, it's probably by pushing something over. and causing that, that type of thing. Because
that would be my guess. Yeah, that would be my guess. If it has the opportunity and wants to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're known to control electrical, equipment and appliances, as they've been known to do, then they could surely start an electrical fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would think.
I think
I don't know, Rob.
Accidental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, they could probably stop something from happening too. Then, so it's going to go around and you can see that. This situation didn't happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, it's like you said, that people don't always see that good side. They're always focused on the bad side.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer in, because someone gets scratched or, something like that, it doesn't mean that it was a negative entity. What if it was something that's just trying to contact you? Maybe they didn't mean to scratch you, So when people, freak out because they get scratched and stuff, I get it. It's different. It can be, if it's never something that's happened to you or you're not into the ghosts, I could see where it could be traumatizing. But I don't think that all scratches are bad.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I agree. I think the people that talk about the 3 scratches all the time, it's got to be a demon. They only got 3 scratches. Well, if you ever scratch your arm, you usually can't scratch yourself with your small finger or your thumb.
Right.
It's really simple. It's like, that only leaves 3 fingers left to scratch stuff with.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think, and it's like you touched on this the other night, Krista, along with the scratching, the hair pulling, the tugging, that type of thing. And I even touched on that the other night when I was on another show, and I think you're spot on. I really do. Because I mean, they're just trying to get your attention. They don't know, exactly what they're capable of.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I had a friend, we were investigating the theater here in town, and she started complaining that she was feeling a burning on her face, that her face was burning. And, we started looking at her, but it looked like 2 fingerprints on her cheek that just started to get red. It was like 2 fingerprints. And she said it was ice cold. And I was like, well, I don't think they meant to harm you. I think they were just touching you. And it was just that cold to your skin that it's creating those spots. And because she said it didn't hurt. She just felt like it burned like an ice cube. If you put it on your skin, how it's going to feel, it's going to burn a little bit after a while. And that's how she felt. She said, I didn't feel scared or threatened or anything. It just kind of happened. And then it was ice cold. I said, well, I mean, it's possible.
Now, I mean, there are people out there that believe any type of contact or any type of, thing like it is bad. Plain and simple. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Everybody's got their own, opinion.
Right. Well, I mean, Robbin, what would you give advice to people when they're looking for antiques or, they're avid antique hunters? What advice would you give them when they're doing this?
I'm probably one of the worst ones with that in a way, because I'm not one that believes in the sage and all the, the crystal stuff. It's not that I don't believe. I've never really, I should say, I guess it is, I don't believe, because I've never had the situation where anybody's ever proved me that works. So I've actually talked to psychics that we had on podcasts that I used to run, and brought them on just to talk about that, and said, so how's this sage stuff work? Like, I don't believe it does. Oh, okay. And so everything that she believed the same way I did. But I think that you just got to be careful with this stuff. I mean, you might even quarantine it for a little bit, make sure it's not a problem. And and I think if you don't bring stuff in wanting to see if there's something attached to it, you're probably better off if you kind of ignore it and let it go. I mean, we really didn't know that the Gacy thing was an encounter until those guys came in and opened that door for us. I just thought it was an old cool armoire that I bought that we brought upstairs. didn't think it was haunted. Never thought that for a second. And until it came to our attention about it and everything with there were people having experiences with it. So like, oh, okay, because I mean, I've never had any personal experiences with the armoire. I've had personal experiences with people here investigating, with the armoire, but not myself. And I mean, I walk by it 3 or 4 times a day, and it's sitting right here in front of me now. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people want to have that experience until they have it, and then they like, oh, now what do I do? I don't want it anymore. And
yeah, that makes sense.
I think that happened to talking about Bigfoot Michigan Rob. He had a problem with some haunted items that he didn't realize because he used to collect antiques a lot. And the bad thing is that he had bought so many he didn't know which one it was coming from, or which one was causing the problem. And so he just kind of moved everything out, and that cured the whole thing. It just took everything out of the house.
Well, we've got our whole house is full of antique furniture. So we had to empty the house if we were trying to get rid of everything that might be up here. Because there's one behind me that's like 80 years old. There's the one sitting next to me is probably 60 or 70 years old. Same with that one there. Everything in here is probably 75 to 100 years old. Most of the furniture in our house. I've got the kitchen table, the dining room table over here. That actually came from Gacy's attorney also. I forgot about that one. And but yeah, that one came from Gacy's attorney also. And then I've still got 3 or 4 pieces up above in my loft that I haven't finished. So I don't even think about it as being haunted. I just think it as being antique. And the local hotel here in town, when the guy, his mother died, she was in the hotel, and I actually took her on her last trip to the hospital because I was in the ambulance service at the time. I took her up to the hospital the last day before she died. And I ended up buying a ton of stuff out of that place there. And we've not had any encounters, but I think a lot of it is just like what you're going after. If you're trying to get that, really focusing on wanting to get that stuff out of there, it probably is going to happen. And there's probably something there that's attached to it. I did the Booth Post did a documentary called The Attached, and I've got the armoires in there, but then I also have something else that's in that also that they did with The Attached is I was down in the event, and somebody won a autopsy kit. And I said, in fact, I was down there, there's about 12 different people, and I said, anybody who wants that autopsy kit, I'll buy it from you. And they're like, okay, well, we win it, you can buy it. And so I ended up, they ended up winning this thing, and he came back and said, you can just have it. I said, no, I told you I'd buy it from you. So I said, here, this is fair. That's what I told you I'd give you. And he's like, all right. So I took it home and had it in a little HHR I had, and I was sitting down at the one day I got in the HHR and turned the key, and it wouldn't start. But the door lock's going click, 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 up and down like this, and it wouldn't do anything. I'm sitting inside the car, and it's locked. I felt almost like the movie Christine, only early days, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I got the door unlocked, got out. I took it into a mechanic shop because I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And I work on my cars a lot anyway, but I took it to his spot, and he said, we thought it was the battery, but it's not the battery. He said, we checked everything. We can't find anything wrong with it. I'm like, all right. He said, so he just come back and pick it up tomorrow morning. I said, all right. So he calls me the next morning. He's like, hey, don't come get that yet. I'm like, why? He said, we went out there. We can't get it started. He said, it started, Porch, but that won't start. And all right. So he brought it in, and he said, threw in a diagnostic machine, and couldn't get it started. And I pulled the autopsy kit out, and had actually Patty and Lisa, 2 of the psychics that were here during the Gacy thing, came over that night, and Patty opens up the trunk of the, or Lisa's going to do the autopsy kit. Patty opens up the back of the HHR, and I swear to you, she ducks as she's opening it up, and she's like, "Whoa!" It's like, I'm like, what? She's like, "Yeah, this needs cleansed badly." So she cleansed it. So maybe that was my encounter with cleansing, because and then Lisa cleansed the autopsy kit, which I still have the autopsy kit. I sold the HHR a couple years later, but we've never had any problems with it since.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And this autopsy kit was, I don't know, 100 years old. It had some original bottles with liquid in it from like the I think it's from the Dodge brothers who did autopsy stuff and all that time, the fluids and all. So it was pretty cool. And I collect that stuff, and it's sitting down there. I probably got a whole room of spirits that are fighting each other down there at some point.
Right. Do you still own some of those Frank's boxes? Do you still have some of those?
Yeah, I got like 20 of them still.
You have the biggest collection, I think, that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably pretty close. Yeah, there may be one other guy that might have a few more. I actually gave one to Crystal Couch when she was trying to raise money for Rhodes Hotel last year. And actually, I kind of worked out a deal with two of them, basically that direction, to help her.
Yeah, because we were talking about Frank's Sumption and the whole Frank's box and how that's the original spirit box, and and I said I know somebody who has quite a few. I said I don't know how many that are left in existence, or actually I don't even know how many were made in the first place. But I knew there wasn't many
too. I think Terry Mosby has one too.
Yeah, I wonder where she got that.
Yeah, I wonder where she got that one.
Where she got it from? She told me.
And he did like around 200 of them, and he did 8 video boxes, and I've got one of those, and but he only did 8 of those. So most people don't realize that Frank. Excuse me. When Frank I'll get it out. When Frank did those originally, he didn't do them for ghosts. He did them for UFOs. He wanted to talk to aliens. That was his whole idea. And if you look at most of the Frank's boxes he did, they all had pictures of like aliens or UFOs or something like that he did. He wasn't really into the ghost type things. He was in the alien.
Right. And
that's what I let John Tenney borrow one for 2 years. And he had one that he was supposed to have for a year, but then because of COVID, it ended up getting stretched out for 2 years before I saw him. And he's really huge in UFOs. And he had all kinds of encounters, he said, with that box. So if you're ever looking for somebody to come down to your conference, Tenny would be a good one. I don't know if you guys ever talked to Tenny very much.
I haven't.
Yeah, he's a super guy to talk to, very down to earth, very easy to talk to. And he was at Autographs, I think, when you were up there, Brandi.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I talked to him for a little bit, but honestly, we haven't been running in the same conference circle. So it's kind of, I miss them, I miss him and a few other ones that I miss quite a bit. I'm looking forward to seeing him again.
So you're going to be at the Kling Brothers one. You're a speaker this year, aren't you, Robbin?
Yep, yeah, I'll be down there. We're actually talking about the Gacy situation down there.
Well, we'll be there.
Richard came up and wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And, which was kind of cool with Richard because he kind of took some of what Brad did and brought up here. He's like, let's just see if we can recreate this. And so he came up. Well, he had brought Brad in to do a live EVP session, a remote EVP session, and I guess Brad didn't hold back at all. Typical Brad. And but then they actually did pick up on an Estes session. They were in the theater room, which is right below me, and I'm not sure, one of the girls had the mask and everything on, and it said, if you're here with us now, tell us what your name is, and it said John. And he said, John, where did you come from? And it said, hell. Is what the guy on the Estes session.
Wow.
So, yeah. And, so that's kind of creepy anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, they picked up on a lot of stuff. They weren't even here that long at night. They stayed like midnight or 1 o'clock or something like that, and then took off. But, we still have stuff happen. Your voices in here every once in a while. And,
when I was there that time with Tony, we did get something. I don't remember, man. It's been, I don't know, it's probably been 7-8 years ago, but down there in the theater area, he picked something else up that wasn't Gacy, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember what it was.
Well, the place is very active anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, you put Gacy out. So, I mean, I've had the first group that came out here and investigated it they called me up one time and said, we really didn't get anything at all, so I don't think it's haunted, but we'll let you know when we get to our audio. And so they called me back about a week later and said, we need to talk. Like, okay. So they brought their stuff up, and they had the clearest EVP I've ever heard. The little girl down there in the basement saying, you can listen to it, She's like, "Oh, what a good dog." And I let people hear that. I'm like, I don't hear anything. I'm like, listen again, and like, I don't hear anything. I'm like, you don't hear the what a good dog? And they're like, well, I thought that was just somebody talking. I'm like, no, that's it. And they weren't talking about counting. They picked up. In fact, it was in a synchronized rhythm. It said 1, 2, 3, 4, and we couldn't figure out what it was for so long. It was like, what's she counting? Is her age or what's she doing? Well, somebody asked me, like, how many people were there? I'm like, that's it. And they were spread out on both sides of the room. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and she was counting people in the room. And they picked up on that. We picked up on. I mean, when we do the newbie nights down there, it's not unusual for us to get 15 to 20 DPs walking around the building when we're doing the newbie nights. And that was taking 45 minutes. I mean, it's weird as it sounds, like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. Like Brad and Barry said, they had so many EVPs that they popped up, just one right after the other. It seems like all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to have a turn down there. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what it's going to cost you. It's not gonna be cheap.
Yeah. Actually, there's we just found out this last weekend or 2 weekends ago, there's a bed and breakfast right down the road from us. Very an Airbnb. Didn't know it was even there. And so excuse me. So the girls that came up here from Wisconsin or down from Wisconsin stayed there. I said, hey, there's an Airbnb right down the street from me. I'm like, oh, well, it's how close is it? I mean, it's a block. It's 1 block away. And I said, better yet, it's in an old funeral home. And so like, oh, hell yes, we're staying there then. So yeah, they didn't say they got anything that, while they were down there, but yeah, it's just an Airbnb in an old funeral home right down the street from me.
Wow.
I wish we would have known that.
I know, right,
I didn't know either till
we went to some hotel, didn't we, that night?
Yes, we did. We did.
Yeah, I think this one just opened because I was going to book Brad and Tim Ellis. Excuse me. I was going to book Brad and Tim, and I was going to book them in Berger because this one didn't pop up, but it just now came up.
Yeah. Wow.
I guess I'm going to have to keep that in mind.
Road trip.
I know.
There you go.
We're just going to show up. Hello, we're here.
There's a couple other places in town that I used to investigate all the time. There's a hardware store that we used to investigate all the time. It was a bar. And then there's the one place I really want to get into is the old hotel. And the owner won't let me do it because she's like, and I haven't gone over with the stuff that I think might convince her, and that's called green cash. Just like walk over and say, here, let me come in here some night and do this, or during the day. I don't care. And but it's the old hotel in town, and I know that there's stuff there. There's not a doubt in my mind about that. It's kind of, you guys have been to Rhodes Hotel?
Mm-hmm.
And,
yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of along the same lines of that. Looks similar to that. It was set up basically like most of those older hotels were pretty much basically male only because they only had like 1 bathroom per floor. That was a shared bathroom. They had basically, it was just the men were the travelers and they were the ones that had stayed at those hotels. And it wasn't a place you went to for vacation. It was a place you were traveling as a businessman or something. And but I like to go there and do that one sometime, which is where a lot of this furniture came from is inside our building here from the old hotel.
Oh,
it's right on the square, so it'd be fun to do that one.
Right. Well, Terry Mosby said road trip.
And I just commented, I'm game, Terry. Let's do it.
Uh-oh.
She knows where it's at, so.
Oh, but yeah, we Krista and I just got to see you, Robbin, just at the Arcadia, just
right.
Last month?
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a very cold night. It was cold, I'll tell you that much.
It's a fantastic location, though.
It is.
It is. Yeah. That'd be a fun place to go to. Then
yeah.
Ashley and I wandered around, found in Ironton, found that other place that was up there that's for sale, which I jokingly am not buying. It's like, I'm not even sure why you'd think I was, but we were just joking about the place. I'm like, look, it's for sale, but and then actually, that's one of the few places I've actually seen in their real estate listing. It even mentions that they've had encounters with spirits and ghosts in the building.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was kind of weird when you read the article and all. It's like, there's been no activity, no ghostly activity in the building or something like that. I'm like, well, that's weird. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That is kind of strange. I don't think I've ever read any listing like that.
Yeah, most of them try to stay away from it, and but not this one didn't. Yeah, it was right. I think it even did in the in their little live video. That's what we talked about even in the live video.
Well, you need to, if you get a chance, you probably need to go to Haunted Souls Paranormal, their other location, Emmaus Village.
Right.
You got to go to that, Robbin. That's an awesome place.
That one right there.
We were supposed to go down there the weekend before we had the Christmas party here for the group out of Ashmore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We had that Friday night, and I was like, I can't do it. I said, we got to, going on here Saturday, so
yeah.
But yeah, just stop down there some other time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place, you will be amazed at that one, because that one is one of the biggest ones I've been to in Missouri for sure.
Mm-hmm. We actually Terry was with Brandi and I that night, but it was Terry that captured it. We got some kind of we don't know what it is. We've had people who are in the cryptids look at it and they're like, that's nothing native to Missouri. They like checked it all off. So we got some kind of a weird creature sound on EVP. It was audible.
Yeah. It wasn't a dog. It was definitely not a dog. And wolves are not native to that area. There's none there. So we are not sure what it is exactly. So
yeah.
I guess we're going to have to go back and find out.
Yep. Yeah, especially if you can't explain it, it's time to go back and see if you can find it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to wait for this weather to break for sure.
Yeah. We actually do have plans to go back because they did ask us to come. We're going to do on the cryptid side and investigate there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They've got acres upon acres there that you can just roam freely.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like it, yeah.
Yeah.
From when I looked at the pictures and everything, it looked like there's quite a bit of grounds out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Well, any questions, Tex? He's thinking.
We had to wake him up. He fell asleep.
Yeah.
No, he's thinking. His mind is turning.
Well, I'm just fascinated by the fact that, getting back to Gacy, of course, you know where I was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about, I have to wonder if this is this entity or whatever he is, because I'm not sure that he's entirely human, or at least that part of him anyway. I don't know. That's kind of a weird situation. But I have to wonder if it travels from place to place. If he's not there all.
We had an encounter out at Ashmore with Gacy. I was doing a podcast down in Lexington, Kentucky, and we were talking about Gacy. And when I called Ashley about, the podcast got done, and I called Ashley. She's like, the weirdest thing happened tonight. And I said, what? She's like, you're doing a spirit box session up on the third floor in Hannah's room, and the boys came through and they asked if somebody was here, and they said, yeah. He's like, it's John. It's like, John, what's your last name? I said, Gacy. And they're like, oh, hell no. You got to leave right now. You cannot be here. You're not staying here, too. Right. So that came out at about an hour after I was, or an hour before I was doing the podcast down in Lexington, Kentucky, and talking about him. So, yeah, the whole thing was kind of weird.
That would be weird. I don't know what I would do in that situation. Ashley, I would definitely freak out. I'd be like, no, Robin's not here. You got to go. Bye. You got to go.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Ashley did. She's like, yeah, it's like, we're shutting this thing down right now. And this is done. And so, but yeah, so that's, because Damon had told me, it's been years ago when I bought the Ashmore in 14. I said, I went out there and it's like walking down the hallways, and it said something on the second floor. Basically said, you should help our building. And it didn't seem to me like the spirits in the building were worried about themselves. They just wanted their building taken care of. I think that the spirits out of the Ashmore were happy with where they were at. It's the only place they knew was home. Nobody was taking care of it for them. They were just, it was a dump. And so Damon's like, well, you know what happened? He's like, the spirits from the theater went out there with you. He's like, they follow you everywhere. He says, so they're following you out to Ashmore and saying, you should see what he's done to our place. And so they're trying to, tell the spirits there to encourage you to buy the place and, fix it up the way you did there at the theater. So I think that probably comes into play when they travel back and forth like that and wander around. So we're going to see. We'll see what happens.
Wow. Very cool.
That's amazing. Wild, crazy, amazing. All right. Well, Donnie, what about you? You got any last questions?
No, but I definitely want to go there and check it out. I'd definitely be down to go with Tex if he ever makes it down. I'll go with you guys. I'd definitely like to check it out. I'm a little sad to see all that Scooby-Doo memorabilia gone, though. I would have liked to check that out.
I know. All that.
Well, not only did he own the Mystery Machine, okay, he had, I can't even tell you the extent of what he had in memorabilia. That was just.
So I have to tell you. So our very first conference that we did was with Paranormal Task Force, and Robbin graciously brought the Mystery Machine to our first conference.
Oh, nice.
And we did a Scooby-Doo reenactment. I kid you not, with the Headless Horseman.
Oh, that's
My
awesome.
dog that likes to make his appearance on the shows, he was Scooby-Doo. True story, wasn't it, Robbin?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
That was down in, I forget.
Lexington, Missouri. We were at Big River Ranch.
Yeah, but it was down at the Stampede or whatever it was there. And, but yeah, so.
Yep.
But I think that was when the Kling brothers were at too, wasn't it?
Kling brothers came, because they were our first, at our first conference.
Right. Yep. And, but yeah, that's like always, those guys, gonna miss them wandering around the paranormal.
Me too.
I think they'll still dabble a little bit, but not to the extent that they have been. And because Barry called me, in fact, when Barry called me one day and told me, hey, I just want to let you know, he's like, we're giving it up. I said, oh yeah? I said, I heard that from you guys 2 or 3 different times. And he said, yeah. I said, yeah, we're done. And I said, oh, so I said, well, I should probably let you know then that in January I'm going to make an announcement that Ashley's going to buy Ashmore. And he's like, so when you doing that? I said, January. He's like, oh, well, maybe we'll do ours sooner then, because we're, the movie was featured in the draw. We'll do ours before that. And so he did. I'm like, well, you jerks. You come out there and he said, yeah. So, of course, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the rumor mills then that, that everybody's getting out of the paranormal. The Klings that got out, and I'm like, I haven't got out of it. I just like, I'm 68 years old, and it's like, I can't do this, after. Sure. I figured if I get 10 years in to help her out, then that'll be good. Because it's like at some point in time you guys sit there and realize that, hey, and I'm trying to push this thing forward and all. She keeps asking, like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. She's like, no, really, are you okay? I was like, yeah. I said, if I wasn't okay, I'd tell you. I said, because because she thinks there's something. Norma's over there. No, you wouldn't. And I don't tell her. But yeah, so it's like, and that's why I think with the cold and all now, everything's going on, and then I get the cold going on top of that, and then she's really worried. I'm like, it's okay, trust me, there's nothing wrong. I said, if there is, I don't know about it. Let me put it that way.
I know nothing about it.
Yeah. Then I bought one of these books from Facebook that said, it's your problem now, I'm dead. And so that she pulled out completely everything. So I was doing that, and she's like, No, seriously. I'm like, no, really, there's nothing. I'm just kind of, doing the pre-planning, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's just a matter of like, and, honestly, there's too much crap. I've got too much stuff. I mean, we've got the theater. I've got the ambulance garage. I got another storage garage over here. I got a 50+ unit or 30+ unit storage unit on the other side of town that I have, and there's stuff in there, and then I own the whole complex, and then we got stuff in there. So it's like, I kind of need to let Norma know what this stuff is. So you won't want to miss the paranormal auction.
She might want to know someday.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
I mean, when you buy a building just to put your equipment in, it's pretty much like, I want to go to that paranormal auction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what we did. When we decided to sell the Scooby-Doo equipment, it was basically I got rid of the van, and so it's kind of like I didn't really want to sell the van, but at the same time, people don't realize how much trouble it is to take it to a location and set it up, get it there safely. All the stress you go through, and I mean, Mike's been with me. Mike's freaked out a lot of times when people are coming down the road. He's like, "How do you deal with this?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "These people are coming up here like 75 miles an hour, and they stop and taking pictures. They're slowing down. They're trying to get in front of you so they get pictures and trying to get to the other side." I'm like, "You just kind of learn to live with it, and you gotta watch stuff so much closer." And finally, and then we blew a tire one night, and Mike was, I think he had to clean, change his pants when he got home because we blew a tire in the trailer, and it sounded like a shotgun going off out there. And I said, "We'll just drive back on the 3 tires. We're only 40 minutes away," and it's a straight exit trailer. Not a big deal, not gonna hurt anything. And he was like, his fingernails were like white knuckles the entire trip back. And what if you blow another one? Like, well, I hope it's not on the same side. Let's put it that way. So, so it's like, and then when you charge somebody, you're charging them basically. I used to charge people just about what it cost me to get it there. And they're like, "Well, but we'll let you promote your van." I'm like, I don't need to promote the van.
Right.
Like, so no. And so I think that's it. I'm done. So it was kind of like when you see me, when you go back there every day in the garage and you see all the memorabilia on the wall, it's like, this needs to go. So I call my buddies and auctioneers, and you need to come over and sell this. And most of it actually, probably a quarter of it ended up in Texas. And somebody from Texas bought it, and they shipped cases of the stuff down there. And just some collector down there, because I had a lot of weird stuff too, and stuff that people didn't see a lot of. And it all went down that way.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Everybody loves Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Scooby-Doo.
For sure.
Well, I want to thank you, Robbin, for coming on and chatting with us tonight. We do appreciate it. And thanks for telling that story, all the stories to us. So, I just find it fascinating. It's, I just find it crazy. And I'm like, like I said, I've seen the armoire. I didn't have the guts to touch it. There's no way. So,
it was,
I don't think I ever could. But, it's just amazing how a lot of things that we do bring into our home that we have no idea. And I think you have the best idea to perhaps quarantine the items before you fully bring them into the house. I think that's a great idea for everyone out there. But we do appreciate it. And of course, tomorrow night, Krista, what we got going on tomorrow night on Blondes and Boos?
We have Olympic Project's Shane Corson tomorrow night.
So we're going to be talking Bigfoot tomorrow night.
we actually, the next couple Thursdays, we have Bigfoot.
Yeah, we have Bigfoot. And then on Friday, I know that we're talking about life after death and, all of that good stuff that goes along with it. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central and on Friday at 7 p.m. Central.
Yep.
Donnie Cho has his show, which is on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Central. What you got going on, Donnie?
Well, because of the disaster that was my last episode this past weekend, Tex was there for it.
I was there.
Krista was there.
Mm-hmm.
Brandi, you were not there. You missed.
I did.
But, yeah, based off that disaster, I'm actually going to do a double header. I'm going to go to do a live this Saturday, and then I'm going to release a pre-record sometime the next day. on Sunday.
Oh,
So look
all
out
right.
for that, folks.
Awesome. Awesome. And Tex, what do we got going on Monday?
I have no clue.
That's the answer every time. And our Truth or Tinfoil on Sunday. Myself and Randy Gilbert, he's not here to tell me what we're doing. It'll probably have to do with something about red circles. We've been on that kick lately.
Yeah.
I blame myself for that. I was the one who invented that gag.
We're on to red circle Sundays. But you never know. You never know. Every once in a while you see a red circle, but you're not sure if that's fake or not. So check us out at Truth or Tinfoil at 5 p.m. Central on Sundays. Well, from everybody here at Paranormal Show and Tell, thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
All right.
Night.
I'll press the button.
All right.
Press
All right.
that one.
Hey.
We're still